Hey everyone, Chris Gogolin here. Happy Memorial Day to everybody in America. Working on episode number 10 of my GEMP Star Wars game review series. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please make sure to do so. Definitely helps me out and it gives me the encouragement and support I need to keep this series going. Today we're going to look at a couple games submitted by one of the top online and European players. The Kryptofis submitted two game lists for me. A couple of quick housekeeping items. There's about 3 days left in the online championship series for May, the May qualifier. Looks like it's going to be a Rebel Spy and Zlorfic who are going to make it to the are going to be the two qualifiers this month. Doesn't look like anybody else down here can catch them. 4 games for Crypto would put him at 32 if he won out. So I think that's going to be about, Lenny's down here with 6. He'd have to play 6 games and win all of them in the next 3 days. That would be pretty rough. It's been done before, but it would be pretty tough for him to make that push. So I think it's going to be these two guys at the top right there. It's also online play weekend, so there's two exclusive alternate image hollow foil cards up for grabs that will be mailed out to people after the event. There's you play a game, you take a screenshot, send a little description of your match to the volunteers at starwarsccg.org, and it's on the forums, all the details about it. And then there were 2 leagues that were created just to give bonuses. You didn't have to join the league to play, to participate. With the open league here, I was in first place when I went to bed last night with my 8 games played. It looks like Tom has played about 7 or 8 games today, so he's definitely one of the most prolific people on the GEMP platform, who's always on here playing and looking for games. And we're going to look at some matches with him today as well. Looks like the first games that were submitted, the first one we've got here comes to us from Crypto, but it's his game against Tom. It's going to be Crypto's playing Throne Room, and he's playing against Tom's 12-card CCT. Very few rebels in Crypto's deck for him to give up, so he's going to give up Core and Horn. The 12 card start CCT is an interesting deck. We'll go quick at a look at Crypto's deck here as he pulls it up for us. He's got Profundity and Falcon for his limited space options. Doesn't run a system of his own. He's got the farm, Jedi Council Chamber. He's got Boss Nash Chambers in hand. So instead of docking base, he's doing the farm puller. Certainly a viable strategy. It gives you the same 2 icons. Saves you, 1 card slot. Gives your opponent 1 icon, but it also gives you a battleground. And it's a pretty decent battleground because it's a drain -1 unless they have a trooper or Vader there. Then we look at some of the other card choices that he's got. He's got plenty of pullers for guys. He's got Closer to cancel Close Call, along with a Sense, Bionic Hand, 2 lightsabers for Luke, and Underworld Contacts to also help protect against strategic reserves, canceling drains, and things like that. Can't modify or cancel drains at Tatooine Battlegrounds, where you have 2 aliens with different card titles. Looking through his deck, he's got Chewie, Jar Jar, and Han. So I don't know that that part's really going to come into play. It might just be more for the Generation +1. But I guess it's certainly possible he could keep 2 aliens there for a turn or 2. And I think against a deck like Map, he's got 2 copies of Rey. I guess he could pick Chewie or Solo as his resistance agent instead, and then try and pile up at the site with them. But you probably won't be draining at that site then because they'll be attacking you. So it was probably more for the drain +1, but I guess in certain situations it's mathematically possible that he could get 2 of his 3 aliens together at the same site. But otherwise, like that, it's pretty standard, light side mains decks. So, giving up Corn Horn certainly hurts. That looks like it's his only spy, so he'll have to wait until he moves over to the Carbonite Chamber to try and get him back. Typically, we'll see the dark side decks do that. They take, Ig deploys here. They take the Rebel. They move him over. They try and do the Carbon Freeze. Turn 2, turn 3. Usually turn 3, I think, because they need a guy with Ig for protection. depending on their force activation situation. And they'll try and freeze him and do 8 force loss. It's pretty easy to do if it's uncontested. If light side doesn't challenge it at all, because um, the console adds 3 to your destiny, your carbon freezing destiny. And then if you control the site, you add 2, so you're already at 5. And then you've got the interrupt, which adds 2 more, so that puts you up to 7, and you just have to draw greater than 10. So a 4 gets it, and there's a lot of 4s in dark side cards that are 4 or higher in dark side mains decks. Yeah, Tom got a couple of his 2-0s. That's the other advantage to playing the 12 card version, is usually you get some better activation pullers right off the bat. And then getting Ig turn 1 isn't mission critical. It's great when it does happen. It gives you a few extra turns to get a few extra cards working through your hand. But it's not a make or break situation. And with the 12 card hand, 2 copies of Ig, and then probably a copy of Darrow. Most of them seem to run. It's pretty decent chance that you'll get him out in the first turn or 2. We see Crypto try and use his speak to pull his Jedi Council Chamber and missed. That's not, yes, it stinks. It sets you back a little bit, but it's not a make or break, because looking at his hand, he wasn't going to do much this turn anyway except draw. So now he's just drawn to find his Jedi Council Chamber because he knows it's in there. But what he's really looking for, I would think, is at least 1 or 2 strong characters. He stays at 12, and obviously most players try to play around Grimtosh Monarch, at least in the early goings. They'll try and stay at 12 or fewer because they've made some of their once per game pulls and things like that, and they don't want to get stuck putting any of those cards back before they get themselves set up. There we see carbon freezing. So like we said earlier, destiny greater than 10, captive, frozen, opponent loses 8 force. It's kind of a pain in the ass when it happens, turn 2, turn 3. Usually you'll see people, they'll put Emperor, Dooku, somebody like that down with Ig. Move over, they might have a stunning leader or something like that to cancel a battle. So if you do come to them, they can cancel it and then sort of counterbeat, with the EPP, Vaders, and Mauls, and I Have You Now, and things like that to add battle destinies. Some versions of the deck do run Crush, so they can avoid the Clash of Sabers. Crypto's just going to activate. He's going to cycle some cards. He drew 1 or 2, got back to 12, and then left a big pile of force. Tom's going to be pretty bold here. He just throws the Emperor down and moves Ig over. So it's Emperor plus Ig, and that's it. And he is going to leave a nice pile of force behind himself. Crypto's going to pull some shields. He's going to get the exclusion shield with weapons display to make him lose force if he does stunning leader, and then do or do not, which is fairly common. We do see typically these CCT decks do run 2 to 3 copies of Sense, at least on most of the current lists do, because you have the easy access to keep pulling it and looping it through. Crypto's going to drop 2 EPPs. Second one's going to get barriered. He'll grab the barrier. He still has plenty of force left. He can drop more people with those guys. Let's see who we get here. Solo. Put Chewie down too and get a second shot. No, he's just going to battle with just those 2. So Qui-Gon's going to get excluded from the barrier. Weapons display is going to kick in and force the dark side player to lose 2 force because they excluded a character from battle. We're going to get the swing at Ig. Ig can cancel a weapon destiny, so he's highly unlikely to get hit here. See, it can just lose a force to cancel it. He top decks a Stunning Leader. Kind of ironic there. Emperor's going to take a shot at Force Lightning on Solo. And that was more than enough to get rid of him. So that'll take him out of the battle immediately, and that'll just leave Obi against the other two. Probably see the clash here. Yeah, clash the Emperor out of the battle. And then Ig won't get to draw Destiny. So now light side's going to win the battle. Dark side's going to take some overflow. They could possibly Ig's immune to less than 5, so he could live. They could just had to lose a few cards. But we do draw a 5 there, so that's going to be enough to clear IG-88. And that'll release Corrin Horn as well, because the escort is removed. So that gives light side back another character now. So now they've got somebody for additional forfeit fodder for next turn. Then Crypto can draw a few cards. Tom's got 9 in hand and he's got 13 active, and he's going to activate another 15 on top of it. So he can pretty much almost activate his entire deck. And if you were to draw somebody like EPP Maul and put him down, Maul would swing twice, and then the bottom card of his reserve deck that he'd get to draw for Destiny would be that 7 from the hunting party. So that would be pretty huge. He's got no escaping at the Force Lightning back. Now he's got a 1 in 5 chance of drawing that 7 if he shuffled. He's going to put Erica to the Jedi Council Chamber, which just forces him to pull his 4th shield. He's going to need a second battleground to get around that. And it looks like Tom's just going to draw. Draw. Looks like he might be wanting to spend a little bit of force. But he's in pretty bad shape here. I'm assuming he's going to have to draw and try and find the Gick. Now we know Crypto's got the Grimtosh, and the question here some people would ask is, when is the right time to play this Grimtosh? Because, Tom's above 13 or above 12, so when he's at 13 or more cards, used is a good option. They'll thin him right down to 8. And then he'd have less chances to have something like a Stunning Leader or a Gick. The other option is some people might just want to play it Lost and see what all those cards in his hand are. I think the better play is to take the cards out of his hand. Again, you're limiting his options for what he can, then do, and you wait until your turn to do it. That way, he's done drawing, and then you don't have to worry about. Because if you did it, when he's at like 16 or 17 cards and thin him down to 8, he still has a massive force pile, so he could just draw all those cards, new cards from his force pile, and build his hand right back up. And once the Grimtosh is played, people always have that thing where it's like, well, is he playing Grimtosh? Isn't he playing Grimtosh? And once it's been played, especially if you grab it, nobody plays 2. Unless you're Brian Spate, then you might play 2. But Brian Spate's the only guy I know that plays 2. I've seen in years playing 2 copies of either of these cards. So if you're not playing against him, then you know that once your opponent's played it once, you can go ahead and probably draw as many cards as you want, because you're not worried about getting hit with it again. If it was in the lost pile, it might be more of a possible concern. Solo can play it out of the lost pile or something like that. So Crypto tried to Sorry About the Mess, which got force fielded. That'll help a little bit, but it's not going to solve the long-term problem. Luke will go down there. Luke will take a card. He's going to get the Help Me Obi-Wan Kenobi, which adds a Destiny. This card also he misses the Saber Pull, though, because it was in his... One was in his used pile. I guess the other one's in his force pile. But he does have Chewie. Chewie will get him a second used pile search, so he could... Oops, misclicked. So he can go ahead and grab the Saber now if he really wants it on the second search, or he can just wait a turn and just get it during his next turn, because it's not like Side Tour where it's you deploy the guy and then go get the saber. It's a once per turn thing. Try and go get the saber. Uh, oh, he's got the second battleground. Put Walkling out of play. Retrieve the Sorry About the Mess combo. And then you'll probably see Chewie grab the Sorry About the Mess. Yeah, he takes the Sorry About the Mess right back into hand. So he has options and outs. If he wants to get rid of the Emperor again next turn. Can't battle the Emperor because of the clash. It hasn't worn off yet. It'll wear off at the end of this turn. But yeah, hopefully he still has a little bit of something left. Went and prepared the chamber and looked for Force Lightning just to take some cards out of his reserve deck, see what's in there still floating around, give him an idea of what he might be able to get. 3-1-4-4 with a Destiny there. Not great if you're trying to battle, but we did see the Sense, which definitely gives us some information that he confirms for us what we suspected, that he is playing it. A 4 Llama card, probably put the Force Lightning back or the Prepare the Chamber, something he can pull on a regular basis. The Carbonite Chamber here gets Prepared the Chamber at the console, so he can use the 4 Llama, keep taking that in the hand between that and so if the Emperor dies, he can keep doing that, or Force Lightning, whichever one he wants to keep an eye on. Zuckuss goes down, gets him his second battleground, so the Arica could drain at the Jedi Council Chamber, and he'd be working around battle plan right now. But he still has the tall task of the Emperor actually living, which is highly unlikely to happen. We look at Krypto's hand, we see he's got the Sorry About the Mess. He's got the Most Impressive, which cancels Stunning Leader, where there's a Jedi participating. Tom's just going to draw a huge hand now because he's got no fear of Grimtosh. We see the Sense, Uncertain is the Future in there. Krypto pulls the Senate Shield. One of the things, in addition to canceling political effects, it's while you have 12 or fewer cards, opponent may not remove cards from your hand, except with Monarch. So the Sense, Recoil, or Uncertain is the Future, the Uncertain is the Future part, which shuffles your hand back into your deck, that counts as taking cards out of your hand. So that's a smart pull there. Once you see that version of the card and confirm that, go ahead and pull that to protect yourself from getting your hand put back, especially when you've got key interrupts and things like that you really want and need. That was pretty lucky. He just 3PO'd into Rey, so he could Falcon Rey to Zuckuss, and then if he happens to draw another pilot with Rey, that would be huge. Instead, he's gonna pay to drain first. Probably go look for Luke's lightsaber now. They're both in there. Lando's in there. He doesn't have any other pilots. Profundity doesn't give him enough ability. Only gives him 6 ability. He could Profundity Rey and hope to grab somebody, but I think he's just going to battle this turn and worry about possibly drawing into somebody, and just, Zuckuss isn't a concern if he takes the Emperor off the table. Cancels the Stunning Leader. No sense for Tom. So now we're going to see the Emperor probably get hit. Even if he doesn't, well, if he doesn't get hit, then it's a push. The Emperor's 4 power, 9 forfeit. He'd cover all the battle damage right now. Just be a difference between battle destiny draws. But he does get hit. Krypto had pretty high destiny in his reserve deck, other than the Luke's lightsabers. Has the option there to play the Sorry About the Mess. No need to do that. At least force the Gick, draw the Gick out of his hand. You've got a Resilience in hand, so you could take Obi or Qui-Gon back if you wanted. If he draws low enough, you'll just lose Corran Horn. Yeah, he draws the 3. We looked at his destinies earlier. He had 3 and a couple of 4s, so there was nothing too scary in there. And if you had drawn the 1, being Dooku, then they're tracking us to make it 0, and then you don't lose anybody. But we'll see the Emperor, we'll see the Gick. Otherwise, he's peeling a whole bunch of cards. But he drew a mountain of a hand there. He got a Johnny Chew hand going. So now he's got the 2 battlegrounds. He's got solid drains at both. Simple tricks will kick in, prevent Arica from draining in the Jedi Council chamber. So he's in a good spot now. Now he just needs to find himself a second pilot, and he can go clear Zuckuss. And Rey should help with that. Dooku Force Lightning hunting party. So we track the hunting party around. Now he's got a sense. And have to lose 2 for the sense from the they're tracking us, because they're tracking us was going to subtract 1 and keep Dooku from frying Luke. Tom's going to have to lose 2 more force for playing the sense. Alright, well, Chewie's kind of hung out to dry here a little bit, but not in a terribly bad spot. Krypto's got plenty of force. He's got a dodge. He could move away. No shield out, so he wouldn't have to lose 2. He loses the extra Rey. He decides not to dodge away, I guess, so he could shoot Dooku, try and get him off the second battleground. Gets force fielded. And then Chewie will die to Battle Destiny. This Help Me Obi-Wan card only works with Rebel or Republic characters to add a Battle Destiny. So, no help for Chewie, who is a Resistance character. Threepio back a Resilience. Put a 6 right down there on the bottom where he can get to it pretty soon. Looks like he was tracking around something. Barrier Canceller. So now he's going to spend some force. He'll spend 3 to drain for 2. We'll see him put the Profundity down. He could put Luke as a pilot on the Profundity. And kill Zuckuss. That'll give him 8 ability. He could do Luke and Rey. There's barrier number 2. Which is going to get stacked on the grabber and then cancelled. It's well played by Krypto, tracking around the inconsequential. Yeah, we're going to get Luke on the Profundity. Oh, no. That's got to be a misclick. Yeah, revert. Alright, so we get Luke on the Profundity now. He's got enough force, you could put Rey there too. And he's going to do Rey and Falcon. That'll give him a little bit more power. He can go get anybody he wants. He takes the bionic hand. He can exchange to get a key interrupt back. Now, this is in a battle at a battleground site. Rebel is in a battle at another location at Destiny. So he could use this to add a Destiny here because he's got a Rebel at another location. He's already up by 10. Luke's going to add one. Yeah, he's going to play Helping Obi-Wan to add a Battle Destiny. Luke's adding one to each draw. Rey adds one to the total. So this could be pretty brutal. He's already used the Gick once. Whether or not he's got a second one, I don't usually see two in this deck list. I mean, it's possible Tom has a second one, but I would think this is going to be a pretty big beatdown on Zuckuss. Ooh, that's no good. 23 to 5 is 18. Zuckuss covers 5. That's going to be Zuckuss and 13 cards off the top. Yeah, that's game. Okay, so we definitely saw, Tom get a little, I don't know, a little ahead of himself, I guess, when Krypto had a large hand and a large pile of force, just moving Emperor and IG over to the Carbonate Chamber. I guess he was, banking on having at least a trick or two with stunning leaders or things like that, possibly to prevent and cancel battles. And Krypto had all the counter cards to cancel all that kind of stuff. Or just maybe thinking that barriers were going to be enough to save him. Barrier cancelers are pretty common in both sides of the decks, so it was definitely a risky play for Tom. I mean, Tom's played a tremendous amount of games online, and especially with this CCT deck, he's one of his more frequently played decks, so I'm sure he's seen the 100, 200 games with this deck and just felt comfortable and confident, making that kind of move. It's a bold move. I don't know. It's one I would have made. I probably would have had a third guy with them, preferably somebody with a weapon. So at least you had the option of using Force Lightning used to, make somebody defense value -4, and then, take a shot. Even if it's just somebody like Dengar or something like that, make somebody defense value -4 and, take a shot with a blaster or two. There's possibilities there. But Krypto's going to get the big beatdown win over Zuckuss and pick up this win here. We'll move on to game number 2, which is also another game that these guys are playing. Tom is playing Watch Your Step in this matchup. Krypto is playing TTO. Krypto's lists, we just saw when he's looking at picking his starting cards there. He was not running the Black Sun Fleet, which I've lobbied for in previous episodes, but it does have several of the bounty hunter ships. He had Bosk, Fett. Looks like you saw Maul's ship was in there too, with the EPP Maul though. And then Vader Shuttle, Saber 1. I'll put them off to the bunker. Oh, he's got an Emperor in there too. I think I saw the Emperor Shuttle. Yeah, Emperor Shuttle's in there with Emperor. There's Maul's ship. Kyrkanos. A couple of short-range combos. U-3PO, Blizzard 4. So, a couple of Emperors. We see Ozzel. I don't see a second Admiral. Might be in his force pile. Whether it's probably Piet. Oh, maybe not, because he's not running the Admiral's orders, so he wouldn't necessarily need a guy like Piet. I mean, never hurts to have a second Admiral, though, if you can pull him. And there's two ways to set up the TTO deck. Obviously, there's, Jerjerrod and like Ozzel in the bunker. Some decks will also prefer to put him in a ship and put the ship at the Death Star, where the light side can't deploy to. Spy characters are more popular than spy ships. But against Watch Your Step, I guess he's just going to take the gamble that he's not playing K2SO, or if he is, he doesn't have him in his opening hand. That's the only spy that light side, that Watch Your Step can play, the droid, that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Do a farm pull. Owen and Baru to the farm for free. They walk over to the docking bay. Anytime you see lone middle tier character just kind of hanging out at a docking bay by themselves, there's a pretty good chance that smells like a fallen portal. Um, I would at least be suspicious that that's a possibility there. Oh, he activated before he pulled the sector, so he just reverted back. Yeah, Fallen Portal's definitely a card that would be, buzzing in the back of my head right now, thinking with Owen and Brew just kind of hanging out there at that docking bay. He's going to reveal Fet and miss. So instead he's going to just drop Zuckuss to Endor. Zuckuss is a pretty safe card against Watch Your Step. There's very few characters that they can use, especially this early in the game, to get around his 7 ability requirement. And then with a set for stun in hand, or 2 set for stuns in this case, it's also pretty safe there. I mean, if they had to put 2 or 3 pilots together to get the 7 ability, you could just set for like Mirax Wedge and Dash or Han or something like that, or Corn Horn, some combination of guys. You could just set for stun one of the lower ability guys pretty safely. TTO's got a lot of high destiny cards, and you can take one of those guys out. We're going to go Lando Falcon to the docking bay. That'll get him a used pile search. He'll also take Lobot out. Some of you might be asking, what is Lobot doing in a Watch Your Step deck? Well, first off, this is Tom's build. Lobot deploys to free to a site with a Scalp Link. Free is unmodifiable, so he doesn't have to pay the +6 from the Watch Your Step objective, and he's got Scalp Links at the docking bay and at the large moisture farm. So Lobot is an extra character that he could deploy. Lobot also lets you react by deploying an alien from reserve deck if a battle was just initiated, and it's free if it's Lando. Lando's already on the table, so it won't be him, but there's plenty of decent aliens that you could get for 2 or 3 force in a Watch Your Step deck. Han will take off. Owen and Baru will move back to the farm. Krypto's going to get his 3rd sector. He's already got that thing's operational in hand. So we'll probably see him get the Death Star up and running this turn and move over to Tatooine. But in terms of what he's got ship-wise to go fight with, he should have Slave 1 in there this time around, because it wasn't there last turn, so it should be in his force pile now. Or used as a reserve deck now. So we'll get a look at what his options are. Slave 1's in there. Fet's in there. He can match for that combo. Imperial Command is in there as well. And he's got Ozzel in hand. Most people would probably go Fett, Slave 1, Ozzel to Tatooine and battle. You're drawing 2 destiny. You could command to give yourself a 3rd destiny, and you could possibly clear the whole Falcon right there. There's a chance they have something like moving to attack position that'll make them completely immune. But even just looking at your situation here, Slave 1's immune to less than 5. Maybe they draw 5, maybe they don't. If you're really worried about it, you've got enough extra force, you could put Tarkin on there too as a 2nd pilot, because Fett and Slave 1 will cost you 6, Tarkin would be 4, battle. You can't move then, obviously that would stink. But worst case scenario, you'd lose Fett, Ozzel stays aboard piloting, Zuckuss just moves over. You certainly have the option here to really take out one of Lightside's ships. If he doesn't have the moving to attack position, you're great. Even if he does, you're still going to outpower him, because this is 7, 9. So you're already up on him by 3. Moving to attack position makes it you're only up on him by 1. But you're drawing 3 destiny, and he's only getting 1 battle destiny. He did save 2 force to make you redraw it possibly, but I mean you could spin one of them if you wanted to guarantee a 5. Um, so that would probably be what I would do. I would go right after this Falcon. I would take this thing out, or try to take this thing out. Crypto looks like he's going to play this a little more passively, though. He puts Oslo to the docking bay. He's going to move Churgerod over, I guess. And then he's going to try and occupy battle plan and battle order, and then move the Death Star over. Orbit Tatooine. I'm not as big of a fan of this move. I mean, Crypto's a great player. He certainly knows what he's doing. He's won, the European Championships. Been in the finals of a couple of events. Or actually, maybe he's just been in the finals of the European Championships 2 or 3 years in a row. I don't know. The guy's great. He's been in, for a guy who's only been playing live in-person events for like 3 years. He was strictly only an online player up until like 2 or 3 years ago, and finally he came out in person to play an event and did phenomenal in it, and has continued to just play phenomenally in the top European events. Looking forward to possibly meeting him at Worlds in 2019 in Germany. So he obviously had a plan here. I guess he was just more concerned about just stacking up guys and just trying to just occupy the system for as long as he can and just let TTO do its thing, do its ping damage. Tom's going to set up Celebration. He's got the new Luke. We like the new Luke. The new Luke, when he's piloting Red 5, adds Destiny to power or attrition. If he can get a second Smuggler there, which he does with Wedge, so now he's drawing 2 Battle Destiny and adding a Destiny to attrition, he could really clear out a lot of this stuff. Fett's going to exchange. He grabs the projective telepathy. Wow. Talk about unusual scenarios here. So Crypto, seeing Tom has no force left, exchanges and grabs projective telepathy, which he can then use as a react or adjust action to force Tom to pay 2 force or cancel the battle. Tom's first weapons phase action, just action of the battle is to play Careful Planning, non-V, card that most people haven't used in quite a long time, which basically says the battle was just initiated, draw Destiny and activate up to that much force. And he's going to draw a 2, which gives him the ability to activate 2 to get just enough so that projective telepathy won't cancel the battle. Now Tom can't use Captain Han's game text now to redraw any bad destinies. He'll use the sector to add the 3rd destiny. So they're both drawing 3, but we're going to get 1 extra attrition destiny. And this is why it may have been really worth the risk the turn before to try and take out the Falcon before he could pile some more guys on it and get reinforcements. Like I said, even if he had them moving to attack position, it's 3 destiny to 1 destiny, and he's already down 1 power. What's the worst case scenario? Is he blind draws a 6 or a 5, and you lose Fett, but you still keep Ozzel in the ship there. You're at least forcing some overflow. Tom gets 11 in Battle Destiny, plus he's going to get an extra Destiny to attrition. But 11 was all he needed to draw. I'm sorry, 11 gets Zuckuss and Fett, not the ship. As long as he doesn't draw 0 here, he's going to clear the whole thing out. And this is tremendously going to set Crypto back. And Tom's going to lose his extra Bobo Leslomi that he threw on as forfeit fodder, and Wedge, because Wedge covers 8 because he's awesome. And Crypto's going to lose everything. And now you're still looking at Captain Han plus the new Luke. He's going to grab Vader's shuttle. Oh, and Imbaru consolidate again because he has no force left. I wonder if he might have been afraid of like a first strike or something. Alright, he checks. Vader's still in there. So he'll reveal the shuttle, get Vader. They'll go to Endor, probably add Tarkin with him to get a second Destiny there. He goes to Tatooine. Tatooine's game text is going to prevent him from drawing more than one Battle Destiny because he doesn't have an independent ship there. So instead he's just going to move the shuttle away. I guess he could have just taken that back and saved himself a force, but I guess it wasn't big enough of a concern to do the revert on that. But yeah, but now he's in a little bit of a bind here because the only independent ship he's got left is Maul's ship, so he's got to find that. He can short range for it if he wants. He'll throw away the extra system. Doesn't need that. He's planning on finding ways to. He's gonna have to come back and contest Tatooine here in a minute. Tom's got Celebration now, so he's gonna use one and retrieve one. Get Wedge back. Celebration is going to be a key for this game because the more damage that Tom can offset and the longer he can delay TTO damage, certainly the better situation is going to be. We haven't seen Tom's deck yet to know whether or not he's running Escape Pod We're Doomed combos, or what chance do we have that would limit or reduce the TTO damage. But just looking at the board position right now, Darkside's doing 2-1 drains at Endor in the docking bay, so he's causing 3 force loss. Lightside's causing 2 force loss, but they're retrieving 1. So basically it's a push at this point. They're both doing 2 damage to each other a turn. Neither one of them is paying for it, so there's no sense of urgency to force anything else through. We'll get Maul in ship. I'll get an extra grabber. That may come in handy at some point to retrieve a ship, to get like Zuckuss back or something. He'll add Tarkin. He'll move the shuttle over. So now he's in a much better spot. He can draw multiple destinies there. Tarkin will add 1. The Sector will add 1 because the Death Star 2's there. So he's got 11 power and 3 destiny. Tom can certainly add a second smuggler, and then he's right back in the same situation. Yeah. Kind of go back to it again. This is where it would be really great to have Ozzel. So you could possibly Imperial Command to limit those light side draws. Light side's going to use Pulsar Skate to reveal to get the Wedge back that he just retrieved. And then he's going to draw evac control, which could limit them both to 1. And certainly would also stop Vader from modifying. He adds a third smuggler as well. So set for stun is not going to really do a whole lot. He adds with Tarkin. Well, he's going to try the set for stun. If he can set for stun Wedge or something like that, it'd be good. If he can set for stun Han, it would cancel some of the extra power or things like that, but it doesn't matter. It gets canceled. Not sure who he was targeting there, but he certainly had options. This is interesting footnote here. I'll pause that for a second. So evac control says that prevents all battle destiny draws from being modified or canceled. He chose to add a destiny to power with Luke. And Crypto smartly used Vader to subtract from that destiny, because that one he can modify. He can't modify the battle destinies because of evac control, but he can modify the power or the attrition destinies with Vader, so he can subtract 2 from that. It's curious with Tom why he would add to power. I mean, he's ahead anyway, I guess just to make sure he really piles on the damage. It's kind of a tomato-tomato thing. He's going to spin from his lost pile for his first destiny draw. That doesn't count as drawing 1, so then he'll get to draw an actual destiny. Gets around evac. There's the fallen portal. So that's 10. 10's going to be rough. 10's probably going to be Vader and Tarkin. Crypto's going to spin a 5 of his own and then draw. Crypto's definitely in trouble here. His space fleet is getting diminished pretty quick. So he draws a 5 of his own. It's going to give him up to 10. So he's down 13. It's going to be Vader and Tarkin. He's got to keep Maul around and keep the independent ship. Maul can also cloak. Cloaking blocks the drain, still occupies the system, so he can still do the TTO damage. So he's losing 2 instead of losing 1 to the drain at Tatooine. But it also gives him the option, the ability to do the 3 direct damage from TTO. At this point, for Crypto, it's kind of almost moving into just try and survive in space long enough to let the TTO damage whittle Tom down. We haven't seen any indications of an escape pod or doomed. Or what chance do we have yet floating around? Crypto still has the shuttle. He's going to reveal for Baron and get Saber 1. Baron's going to go to Endor. We haven't seen Dash yet for Lightside. We've seen the Pulsar Skate. That's gone. Falcon's there. Luke's in space. So Dash is still around somewhere. With the 10 card hand, Dash against Baron could be trouble. He does have a Gick though, but again, it's not so much about taking battle damage and things like that. It's about just losing more ships. He's already lost 2/3 of his space fleet. Can't really afford to lose much more. Maul did cloak, like we thought. He lost the 2 force for that. Grievous to the Cantina is going to increase his damage output now because TTO also adds for each location, numbered related battleground sites you occupy. So this is going to be 4 damage now. 2 plus 1 from we shall double our efforts, and then another 1 from the Cantina. He's going to retrieve 2 with the celebration. That's certainly hurting things. One of the downsides to TTO is that you can't play anything that cancels celebration cards. This sector right here, your non-objective cards with occupation in title are canceled. The only cards that cancel uh, celebration is the Endor Occupation or the Masterful Move Endor Occupation combo card, which TTO does not let you play. So you have to take the system from them. No dash for Tom. He's going to move Luke over by himself and leave Maul hanging out. Malas joined last turn. Malas will prevent Maul from cloaking. He prevents him when he's cloaking while he's here. The way around that would be to move Maul to Endor, and then he could cloak while at Endor and move back to Tatooine if necessary. Destinies in the deck right there were not very good, not very likely to crack the immunity. He's going to go Blizzard 4, try and take out Owen and Baru. They're going to get perimeter scanned, though. The Blizzard 4, that'll stop it from uploading or downloading the character from reserve deck. I think we saw Kirkanos in there, who would have been really helpful. He could try with Sidious, though. Oh, he's going to put Sidious as a passenger aboard the shuttle. Sidious's text won't work in space, but it will give him some extra forfeit. And then he can just move Saber 1 back over. So he's in a pretty good spot there in space. Looks like Tom's going to, until he's maneuver, put a 5 back where he can track it. He'll Walkling, pay 1, retrieve a 5. So then he'll have 5 something 5. And if he knows what that card is, that could be very helpful. So we'll probably just activate. He only activates 9 now. But Krypto's not taking any drains this turn. Luke's just going to drain for 1. Oh, I guess he's not going to retrieve that card instead. Probably because he realized he couldn't quite activate to it. So he gets the drain for 1. Celebration gets him 2 cards back. And that might be the thing too there. He can't afford to burn the Walkling. You see the imbalanced Kit and Strider combo highlighted there. You can play that after each force card that's retrieved, but it only comes into play as it relates to... you should always do it at the end, rather, shall I say, after they've retrieved all their force, because they can keep retrieving. Like if he could retrieve 5 and you only had 3 cards in his lost pile, and after he retrieves the 3rd one, you play that and make him lose 2. Well, now he's got 2 cards in his lost pile, and he still is allowed to retrieve 2 force, so he could just retrieve those 2 extra cards. It's a ruling question that came up the other day. I saw some people talking about it. I want to make sure I pointed that out. Just wait till the end of their retrieval before you play that to maximize the force loss. Tom battles, plays the moving to attack position to keep his Falcon alive, draws 3 solid destinies. It's 13. I think Sidious goes for 8, and the shuttle only goes for 4, so that's only 12. So that's going to kill Baron as well. And with the Falcon being completely immune, it's unlikely that they're going to have to lose anything either. Does not outpower them, so they're completely immune, so nothing to worry about there. it's both pilots. He's got good forfeit, at least extra forfeit from the two ships, but Maul's kind of grossly outpowered right now. Tom's not sure what he's got left in there. He's got 2 4s, so he could battle and clear both Grievous and Blizzard 4 here. He'll grab the second, move into attack position off of Justice. So now that Falcon really is not going anywhere. And he doesn't really have any guys in hand. He does have the imbalance combo, though. Yeah, which he is going to play here. He'll lose a force. He retrieves a character into hand. There's no aim high out, so it doesn't cost him anything. So that regenerates him the topmost character, except the card that he lost from his used pile was a character, which makes that guy the top card of the lost pile, which means that's the guy that he has to get. I don't know if I'm thinking he probably was hoping to get Baron back to put back in space to really help hold this system, but he ends up with Kyrkanos instead. Kyrkanos is not going to do a whole lot for him. He could put Kyrkanos in space. It would cancel the moving to attack position once per game. If in battle with an Imperial, once per game I cancel a non-immune to sense interrupt. There's no Imperials there, so you know that's not going to work. We'll do a full clear on the ground. That'll reduce the TTO damage back down to 3. Probably at some point, not sure why maybe we haven't seen that just yet either, see these guys docking bay transit over to Tatooine. It may just not have been necessary yet, but he could have done that when he put Blizzard 4 there and it got perimeter scanned, because I believe this is free, isn't it? Yeah, free if you're Imperial present. So he could have docking bay transited them for free over, so he would have had some extra forfeit and power to hold that docking bay. Unless he was just worried about them getting fallen portaled, which is certainly a possibility too, like we said earlier. Kyrkanos is going to the Cantina. He can battle. He outpowers him 5-3. So either Lobot has to die or he's got to lose 2 force. But he can react by deploying an alien. Crypto's going to waste his Gick to cancel the react. I'll put Mirax back in the deck. And then he'll play the Blast the Door Kid, which he picked up off of evac control. And that'll cancel that battle. So basically, they both lost a card for that battle there. They dock and bay transit over. Kyrkanos is not going to leave the Cantina, though. Again, it's a bold move, because if he does have another, I mean, not as bold. I mean, Tom's got 4 cards in his hand and not a lot of force left to work with. Most of his characters we've seen so far in space, but if he had Chewie, it would be pretty brutal. It would pretty much be game over. Chewie would deploy, battle, shoot Kyrkanos, and they'd get a battle destiny, and Kyrkanos wouldn't, and he does not have a Gick, so that would pretty much be game at that point. But I guess Krypto's just going to risk it. He's kind of got Lobot squeezed in there. And if Kyrkanos can live through this turn, he's got the possibility to battle and cause 2 more force loss. I'll probably see him use the Tarkin's Bounty in his activate phase, or in his this turn to get a card out of his force pile. If he can find a second character, that would be great. He's going to play the command now just to put a card back. There's a Maul and a Dooku in there, so he should activate one of them. I think either one would be fine at this point. Well, no, Maul's in space. Sorry. So, yeah, he'd want to activate the Dooku, and he could deploy that. Emperor shuttles in there. That's pretty key. The shuttle gets hit with the barrier. Lateral damage. That's still a good play. The shuttle's going to be excluded from the battle because of the barrier. Maul's completely immune. Even though this is only a 4, there's still a fairly good chance that Maul can cause some additional damage battling Luke. It'll be 8-0. Luke can add a Destiny to power to try and make some of that up. But he's going to have to draw 2 pretty decent Destinies just to cause a tie. He's going to spin a 5. That makes more sense. Use the spin, get the 5. The ship's only immune to less than 5, so Luke would have to go. And he draws a 3 for Battle Destiny. So he still would have caused a couple of force loss, even if he hadn't had the spin. But obviously the spin's better, cracks the immunity of the ship. Now he's down to just 1 ship over there. Doesn't have a way to cancel the react again this time, so there's no point in battling Lobot, because he's just going to probably pull the same Mirax or whatever back out of the reserve deck. He had the force left to do it, so I'll move the guys into the cantina now and force Lobot to either move outside or get some backup. Definitely a close game here. Tom's got 20 cards left. Crypto's got 9. But they're pretty, looking at board position and things like that, they're light side feels like they're ahead, but they just can't. Dark side's just hanging around. They can't put them away. They can't get the finish that they're looking for. There we go with Mirax. Now he's got at least enough to draw Destiny. We'll see Darkseid activate it all. They'll get the Drain at Endor for 2. We'll put the Emperor on the shuttle. Yeah. But still nothing from Tom to prevent that TTO damage. I'm guessing he's just not playing anything, which seems bonkers. It's really just the best word to describe it. I guess his whole plan is that he figures he can just take out all their ships and stuff in space. But we haven't seen any type of escape pod combo or anything go by that could prevent that damage for just even 1 turn. I mean, even just preventing 4 damage for 1 turn could be enough to eke out the game here. Kryptos down to very few cards, but he's managed to. Tom's not doing any damage to him right now. He's got the 1 Force Retrieval. Ooh, 1/2 in the reserve deck. Excuse me. He can Mirac some cards back. He's either going to get Luke or Philo. Getting the second Luke would be solid. Put him right back in the ship. And he's right back where he was a turn ago. If he gets Philo, he can put him to the Endor docking bay and get a drain to 3. He got Philo. That's a little unlucky. I mean, he had a 50-50 shot at that. Philo could be enough if she can get a drain or 2 in for a turn. He'll match up Dash now. Okay. So we finally see Dash at the table, so it's the last of light side ships. They battle, they subtract power. Moving to attack position on the Falcon. We're looking at 3 Battle Destiny each. Light side's ahead by 14. But Tom doesn't have 3 cards left to draw. He only has 2. So he's going to cut into that a little bit. He gets him to 24. So Dark Side's down by 22. And they've got 9 in free forfeit from the 2 ships that they don't need. Let's see what they can draw here, though. That's terrible. That gets better. And he'll short range another 5 here. That'll get him 11. That gets him to 13. So he's down by 11 here. The 2 ships, like we said, forfeit for 9. So he's got to lose them and 2 cards. But Dash and the Outrider are gone now. Oh, he's going to lose the Emperor. Keep the shuttle around and just lose the Emperor instead of losing the 2 extra cards, which you can't really afford to lose at this point. So, smart play. Like I said, he's just trying to find ways to hang around. He's going to just shuffle his deck there, just to shuffle some stuff around. He'll activate all 6. He's not going to battle. Or, no, he's going to battle in the Cantina, probably. Definitely needs to make sure he deploys U3PO. That'll block that drain on the ground with Philo. No way to get rid of that. The 4 force loss from TTO is just huge right now. It doesn't even need to battle in the Cantina. You're right. It's unnecessary. And with Tom only having 2 cards left in hand and 8 force left down, he's going to go ahead and he's just going to move Ozzel out on his own. Just looking at, well, let's move this out of just looking at the board here for a second. So Crypto has got 6 cards left. Tom's down to 10, so was just 20 to 9. Really did a good job of mitigating the damage by blocking in front of him, letting TTO do what it does, just do its direct damage for a couple of turns. He can retrieve 1 for the Cantina here. We know Luke is still floating around somewhere. If he was able to track that, he could put Luke to the docking bay, battle and kill Ozzel, but he's not really going to get any overflow. He's just going to kill Ozzel. So Tom's kind of limited in terms of where he can battle and do damage. He can again he's got to try and clear the space. Is really the best thing he can do here. He's got a small power advantage. He's got a destiny advantage. This time he leaves 3 back. but he's not really doing anything here. So, you know, worst case scenario, Crypto could lose Maul and the ship. The shuttle still gets to stay. That would give him enough to occupy to do the TTO damage again next turn, plus a drain or something like that. And really, at least bring this game to like a nail-biting halt. Then he could load the guys back onto the land the shuttle, load everybody up on it, and take off the next turn or something like that, and try and just live for one more turn to do like 2 or 3 more direct damage, 3 more direct damage, and you know, do that. But I don't even think Tom can even do that much. Tom's going to activate 6, so now he's leaving himself again with 2. He activates an extra force. He pays 1 to retrieve, gets the card back, which is always important. But he doesn't have 3 cards to draw for Destiny here. He adds more forfeit fodder, which that ship doesn't need. What he needs are battle destinies. He's going to put Walkling out of play and retrieve a card. If you weren't moving, why not leave that 3rd card there and draw it for Destiny? Because now, even if he draws 5-4, he only gets the Emperor Shuttle and Saber 1. Okay, doesn't have a 3rd card. I don't know what he was planning on doing with that 1 extra force, because he's not really moving anything. It's unfortunate to draw the Maul, but it doesn't really matter. He's just trying to hang on and just survive. Philo's stuck here because she doesn't make docking bay transiting free or anything like that. And light side costs from here 7, so she can't move anywhere. He can lose these 2 ships. Maul still gets to stay for 1 more turn. Now he's going to do 5 damage from TTO. And a drain of 1 over here, which is 6. Tom only has 11 cards left. So that's going to take him down to 5. So now we're basically tied. We could see him activate 3. He could battle in the Cantina, clear one of those guys out, move Ozzel over, move the Starfighter back to Endor. It's battle, move, move, and there's your 3. It's a 4. 4's decent enough. We'll see the battle in the Cantina. Nothing worth playing. He draws the 4. Gets 1 of these guys. Doesn't really matter which one. It just was important that he killed one of them. Tom has no hand left. 5. He may not even have to move back over at this point. Tom's got no hand left. He can't play any other characters. So Gergerod dies. Lobot or Mirax dies. And then you've got Kirkanos' 5 power against 3 power. That'll cause 2 force loss. Ozzel can stay over here, do his drain of 1. And he can just move away. Just fly away to Endor. And pass. He'll take 1 force loss this turn. Just a force push he can't play, or the Dooku he can't play. It doesn't matter. He can pay 1 to retrieve 1. And then what are his options? Stay in the Cantina and lose 2. move out of the cantina, and then lose 2 to the drain in the cantina. So it looks like they revert, and I think this is where the game kind of broke. Um, I talked to Crypto about this. It seemed like something happened here at the end of the video. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but Crypto did win this game. So as we can surmise, just looking at the board position, there really isn't much else that Tom can do. It's like he can move to Endor to block this drain, um, and then Maul just moves back over, and then next turn TTO does enough damage to finish Tom off. Um, so there's really nothing else that he can do. Like he could land, get his guys out, or whatever. Then he can't pay to drain. He can stay there. Then he loses 2, 3 this turn when he's only got 4 left. 5 after he retrieves one. Um, and he's not causing enough damage. Crypto still has a card in hand he could throw away, plus these 4 face down. He's going to get battled and lose 2, or he's going to have to move away and lose 2 anyway. So Crypto did exactly what he needed to do, which was just hang on just long enough. And Tom, on 2 occasions there, only leaving 2 Battle Destiny in space when he could have drawn 3, kept the battle damage a little lower, a little more reasonable, where Crypto was able to just forfeit enough. I mean, he's only got 5 cards left. If he could have drawn that extra card for Destiny during those 2 battles, that could have been the 5 force that he's got left right now, or at least enough that maybe he wouldn't have had enough force to deploy U3PO or move people around and move away. So that was definitely a key mistake there at the end of the game, not leaving enough to draw all the possible battle destinies. I'm not sure if he was just activating extra force, maybe trying to use Han's text if he needed to possibly cause a redraw or something like that. But I think that might have been very well has been the difference in a very close game, very interesting game by both players. Thank you very much to Crypto for sending these 2 links over. He sent me a third one, which we'll look at somewhere down the road. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a happy Memorial Day, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks.